in your struggle. Honor me in spite of what you're going through. Don't turn your back on me. I'm the same God who brought you through 09 will take you in 010. Don't stop serving and worshiping me because of what man is doing to you. In the struggle, draw nigh to me so that I can be nigh to you. Amen. Here's what God is after. He wants somebody who can suffer long. Look at the text. It says, in my struggle, I've got to learn that I will suffer. But the text implies in verse 4 that my suffering will not be for a day. Some of us may suffer our whole life. Some of us may suffer for seasons. Some may live in climates where your season is not my season. Yeah, a day in Puerto Rico is not the same as a day in Alaska. Night in South America is not the same as night in Greenland. The night there could be 4 hours, but in some other place, night could be 6 months. And so we need to understand that I don't know how long my night, but one thing I do know is that joy comes in the morning. And so the only thing that I'm telling you in the midst of your night, in the midst of your struggle, learn how to suffer long. And while you're suffering, understand the principles of your operation. Here's where God gets the first fruit of your struggle. Charity suffers long, but it's kind.
Take your time, take your time.
That's where God gets glory. Is that in the midst of my struggle, I'm still kind.
Yes, sir.
In other words, I'm still the same Christian that I always was. In the midst of my struggle and in the midst of my suffering, I've not become bitter. I've not turned my back on God. I've not lost the joy of serving Him. In the midst of my struggle, I still have something to smile about. Yeah, I've been abused, I've been misused, I've been falsely accused, but I still have joy. I still have a God who woke me up early this morning, who looked beyond my faults and supplied my every need. And so therefore God is saying, in the midst of your struggle, whether it's with man, whether it's with institution, whether it's with yourself, still be kind-hearted and true. The first fruit of your struggle is to not change who you are. You want to know your purpose, you ought to know who you are. Amen. And who you are ought to speak louder than what you're going through. Some of us lose track of who we are when we start going through. But if you are ever going through something, the fire ought to reveal what's on the inside. And if we could ever do that, then we'll learn what God has in store. And so, beloved, it says that it's long, but it's kind. It does not envy. In other words, because I don't have what I think I should have now, I'm not in an envious mode. I'm not behaving myself unseemly. I'm not seeking my own. I'm not easily provoked. I'm not thinking evil of no one. Because who I am, I've learned that in the midst of my troubles, I've got to bear all things. And I've got to believe all things. I've got to hope all things. But where God gets the praise is I've learned how to endure all things. Somebody here needs to know how to endure. And you need to know that enduring is not just waiting for the morning to break. But enduring is knowing how to keep on doing what God has called you to do. In the midst of your trial and your tribulation, you keep on singing praises to God because that's what God has called you to do. In the midst of your storm and your infirmity, you preach through your storm because that's what God has called you to do. Endureth all things said that sometime I may not want to rise, but I've got to get up anyhow because that's what God has called me to do. Enduring all things said that, yeah, even when they don't want to hear me, I've got to preach anyhow because that's what God called me to do. The hand that's trying to stab me, the hand that's trying to pull me down is the same hand I've got to pull up because that's what God have called me to do. The same tongue that's calling and cursing my name, the same tongue that's trying to destroy my character and my integrity, the same tongue that wants to talk about me is the same tongue that I've got to lift in prayer because that's what God would have me to do. The same enemy that keeps digging ditches over and over for me everywhere I go. The same enemy who tries to pull everybody on their side. The same enemy who meant it for my harm has to recognize that God will turn it to my good. So I've got to pray for that enemy because that's what God would have me to do. And I don't know if you can endure, but if you can endure yourself and your struggle, then you give God the first fruit of your spirit. Because here's what happens when I look at the text. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I fought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away all childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Anybody here know what face to face mean? When I see Jesus, amen. I've been in the storm, I've been in the struggle, but when I see him face to face, no more weeping, no more crying, no more dying. When I see Jesus in my spirit and in my soul. But I'm glad that when I was a child, I played with kid things. I played with sin. I played with people. I played with things. But I put away all my childish toys. And I'm now moving from milk, trying to digest meat. And here's what I need. I don't need in my spirit to tell me about salvation, for my name is already on the roll. I don't need to hear about reconciliation because I fixed it with Jesus a long time ago. I don't need to hear that prayer will change things because it's what prayer changed me. But what I need is in the middle of the journey. What I need while I'm trying to go through is for somebody to help me to hold on and to hold out. I know I'm saved, but my body gets weak and I can't stand the storms of life. I know I'm saved, but I'm tossed to and fro by an angry wind, trying to make it in the glory. I need somebody that when I'm down can pick me up and let me know serving the Lord pays off after a while. I need somebody to get down in the valley and let me know I've been there, I've done that, I was that, but look at me, Jesus brought me through. I need somebody that will help me lift Jesus. I need somebody who can say, not by my power, not by my might, but it's in his spirit. So let me close by letting you know I put away the world and grabbed hold of an old rugged cross. It's the cross where Jesus died. It's the cross where blood was shed It's a cross where he hung his head, lots of his shoulder. He died. He died. He died. But early, I've been down. But early, he lifted me up. I was broke. But early, he made a way. I was sick. But early, he healed my body. I was out of my mind. But he brought peace. It was early. One Sunday morning, he got up. He got up with time. Do you know he got up with all time? Do you know he got up in my life? And what he did for me, he'll do the same for you. Jesus. Jesus. Jesus will fix it. When you know your purpose, and his purpose was to come that we might have life and have it more abundantly. Give God some praise. Somebody here needs to know